to me, Julani promising democracy is like a prostitute promising a one-way ticket to heaven, to see Jesus. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're a terrorist. You have a very backward, extremist Wahhabi ideology. So to come to me and tell me that, oh, we're gonna give the people freedom and democracy, that is something very, very hard to believe.
Du lyssnar på Zeitgeist Sweden med mig, Thabo Motsieloa. En podcast om samtiden, samhället och livet. Nya avsnitt varje vecka där poddar finns. Stötta gärna podden genom att följa, dela eller lämna ett betyg på Spotify, Apple Podcast eller där du lyssnar. Det betyder mycket. Nu kör vi!
Hi, my name is Thabo Motsieloa and I'm doing this podcast from Stockholm, Sweden. And our guest today is Treka Z. And he's a guy living in Nigeria, but with a Syrian origin. And this is actually the topic. The topic is about you, Zeka, and it's about the situation in Syria and how it is for the ordinary people and and your experience. Could you please give us a short introduction of who you are and what you actually do?
Hello, everyone. My name is Treka Z. I'm a Syrian. Currently living in Nigeria. I do comedy, I do content creation, I do journalism and activism, and I became well known during the war time in Syria when I was doing videos reporting about the war in Syria and what was going on and how life was in Damaskus and the whole war situation in Syria. Started doing videos, political satire videos, interviews, activism. So all of that was how people started knowing me worldwide. And I came back to Nigeria in 2021. I was able to escape the war in the year 2021. But before that, I was in Syria from 2008 till 2021.
So actually, you were living in Nigeria. You went back to Syria.
Yes. So I was in Nigeria because my dad works here. And then when I graduated high school, my family sent me, we went to Syria to do our university studies because apparently Syria was safer than Nigeria. Then little did we know, 3 years later, Syria became the most dangerous country in the world.
That's it's strange and it's a tragedy. When you went there in 2008, how was the situation and how was life for a guy like you? Seemed to be a cosmopolitan guy.
Well, in 2008, Syria's situation, it was a very, very promising. It was in a very, very promising stage in its life because in 2008, Syria was known to be the safest and cheapest country in the whole Middle East. It was very safe and very cheap. It's whenever there were wars in the Middle East, whether it's Iraq or Palestine or Lebanon, they would always flee to Syria for safety. And people from Lebanon or Iraq used to also come to Syria to do shopping for the whole month. So it was a very safe country, very cheap. It was progressing and evolving and on its way to a very, very, very promising and good stage in its life. Then unfortunately when the war happened in 2011, everything just started gradually crumbling down.
2011 in March, we had the Arabic Spring that reached Syria.
Yeah.
How did it affect you? And what came to mind? Tell me about when it arrived. What happened?
So, it all started with protesting and stuff. And we were people were, the majority of the country were for Assad. Very little were against him. And when you would hear the people that were against him, when you would hear their arguments, it's there's two different sides of the people that were against. There were people that were against the Syrian government because of plausible reasons, maybe it's a dictatorship. The Assad family has been ruling for 20, 30 years. And when they say stuff like that, or they criticize the Ba'ath party, which was the political party that Assad was having, you could listen to them and they made good points, because obviously there is no government in the whole world that is perfect. Every government has issues, has corruptions, has things to be changed, and so on. But then on the other side, you had people that were like extremist people that were not wanting to make Syria change to the better. They were trying to take Syria backwards. You know, you had people that were coming up with reasons like, oh, Assad is a Alawite, and the majority of the country is Muslim, so we need to make this an Islamic country, and we need to instead of
And just for the audience, the Alawites, they are Shia Muslims, right?
they're not quite Shia Muslims, but they're like a very small minority group from like an Islamic sect. But yeah, they're very similar and close to the Shia ideology. The Alawites, like they exist in like Syria and Turkey. You know, they are a minority group, just like maybe the Druze or So anyway, but that was irrelevant because Syria was a secular country. So the law that was in Syria is like regardless of your religion or ethnic background, the laws was like one for all Syrians, because you have to also not forget Syria is a very multi-religious and ethnic country. So you have in Syria the Muslim Sunnis, the Muslim Shiite, the Muslim Alawites, you have the Christians, Catholic, Christian, Orthodox, you have the Druze, you have the Jews, you have people that's from different ethnicities like the Arabs, and you have Kurds. So logically speaking, the law that we had, before the war was the most fair for all Syrians because it was a secular law. It was a secular country. So like you would be walking in the streets of Damascus, like you would see there is a mosque, there is a church, there is a bar, there is a club. If you want to drink alcohol, the liquor store is in front of you. If you want to be like a religious Muslim, the mosque is in front of you. If you want to be a religious Christian, the church is in front of you. And like you had that freedom of religious expression where the government wouldn't really interfere in your own lifestyle, But then you had all of these extremist groups that were like from like Wahhabi Islamic extremist background that were trying to overthrow the government and implement like Sharia law by force on all the people. And me as a Syrian living there at the time, I was like, I'm completely against that because it's not going to be fair for all the non-Muslims in the country. And there are also a lot of Muslims in the country that don't want that. Like, why would you want to force people to wear hijab? Why would you want to, break down all the liquor store? And we were seeing it in areas where they started taking over. Like as soon as they started taking over areas, like you would see them how they start implementing that extremist ideology on the people where if women are not wearing hijab, they will attack them. If they see a guy walking in the street or drinking alcohol, they will cut off his hand. If let's say the prayer is happening and someone is not praying, they would attack him or close his shop. And it's like, this is not the way, this is not the revolution the Syrian people were asking for. This, like, if we're gonna overthrow the government, at least let us implement a better system, a better law, and elect a president who is more open-minded and more, with new ideas and so on. But if you're gonna like overthrow Assad to go and put someone who has a ISIS and Al-Qaeda ideology, the majority of Syrians don't agree with that. And like you can even see like the biggest proof is like look at Syria right now. Ever since this Harry Baboon al-Julani became president, like they attacked the Alawites, they attacked the Druze, they attacked the Christians, they attacked the Kurds. All the minority groups now are running for their lives, and all the moderate Muslims are scared for their lives, and like they're being oppressed and they're being killed, and it's just a disaster. So the situation right now in Syria is in very, very big trouble. Like me as a Syrian, I am not happy at all with like what the situation is.
I have a Western perspective from our broadcasts, and looking at Syria from our vantage point, Assad was portrayed as a dictator who had a very strict rule, was an authoritarian rule, and that the people of Syria were very displeased with the government, and that was the reason for the demonstrations and the revolution. But now, as you portray it, it was secular in many senses, and that it was hijacked the Arabic Spring. Is that the right way to frame it? That it was hijacked by
I
the
mean, to be
extremists?
honest, it's not completely the truth because, like, before the war, the majority of Syrians uh, were in support of Assad, and even during the first couple of years, the Syrians still supported Assad because the biggest proof, Assad stayed from 2011 till 2020, what, two? So, like, for him to withstand more than 10 years of the war, you can't do that without the public support. You know, obviously, you definitely had people that were against him, but why is it that all the other Arab leaders like got overthrown in within weeks or months, and this guy withstood 10 years? But the thing with Syria, what happened is that when the Western governments that were trying to overthrow the government saw that they were failing and failing and failing and failing and failing, what they started doing, they started bombing us, and not only that, they started imposing economic sanctions. So what they started doing first, they tried to push this Arab Spring propaganda to like make the people revolt, and they saw that was not enough. So the next thing they started doing, they started arming and funding jihadist groups in Syria like ISIS and Al Qaeda, and this is already a proven fact. Like Obama like had a CIA program. He was sending them money. He was sending them weapons, and they were training them to fight the Syrian army. And most of these jihadists were not even Syrians. Like you would find these jihadists coming from Afghanistan, from Libya, from Iraq, from Chechnya, from Pakistan. They will all cross the Syrian border illegally and then join this militant group and start fighting the Syrian people. Because if you look at the Syrian army, for an example, they're all Syrians coming from every city, every religion, and every ethnic Syrian background. But when you would look at the ISIS and Al Qaeda people, they were like different countries and different nationalities, like I mentioned, the countries. And the second of all, how at the beginning when I was reporting about it, people called me a conspiracy theorist when they were saying like, oh, why are you saying that America is sending money and weapons to these groups, and how are you saying that America is arming? I'll tell you exactly how we found this out, because the Syrian government buys all its weapons from Russia. And are you with me? Yeah. So the Syrian
I'm
government
listening. I'm listening.
the Syrian government buys all its weapons from Russia. And then when the Syrian army would enter an area that was under the control of ISIS and Al Qaeda and liberate it, we would always find American equipments. So then the Syrian people started asking, like, where the hell are these American equipments coming from? Because we don't own them, we don't buy them, and we don't use them as a country. So where are these coming from? So it's either America is sending it directly, or it's sending it indirectly. Maybe they'll sell it to like Saudi Arabia or like Turkey, and then they would smuggle it inside Syria. So then from the beginning, the Syrian people started noticing like, okay, this is not a natural Syrian revolt thing. This is something that there is outside powers that are also trying to intervene in it for their own interest.
Benefit,
Whenever people like Obama or the British government or French or Canadian or Israeli come out and be like, oh, we need to save the children of Syria. We need to change. It's like, I never buy it, because they don't care about the children of Syria. Because if they actually really cared about Syria, they wouldn't be funding terrorists to overthrow the government. And we've all learned from past history, there's never been a time where terrorist groups successfully overthrew a government, and then after they overthrew the government, the country went back to normal. You would have a black hole of terrorism and execution, and there will always be chaos. Look, Iraq, since when did Saddam Hussein die? Until now, Iraq hasn't recovered. Look at Libya. Since when did they overthrow the government? And now look, Taliban has taken over. Libya, the same thing. When did
I get the picture. I get the picture. But why would the United States intervene in Syria? What gains were there to be made?
Because I personally believe, and look, I'm not saying this as a Assad supporter. I'm saying this as a Syrian citizen that was looking at the situation from a first perspective, from somebody who suddenly was living in a safe country and then suddenly is living in the midst of the war. And then I started watching the news and watching the politicians, and then I started putting one and one together. I think the reason why the West and like NATO countries and America wanted to overthrow the Syrian government was mainly because Assad was not a puppet to them. And the second reason was because Assad was enemies with Israel. If you notice, there's always a pattern where every time there is a government that is against the Israeli government, suddenly they always demonize them. They always talk bad about them. They always try to overthrow them, and they always try to, take them out. Because look at the biggest example. America, for the longest time, they always complain about Iran. Oh my God, Iran is an Islamic extremist country. Women are being oppressed, and they are very implementing Sharia law on they always complain about that. But at the same time, Saudi Arabia is the same thing, but then they don't complain about Saudi Arabia. They only complain about Iran. Same with like in Syria. They say, oh, Assad is killing the people, Assad is killing the children, we need to overthrow him. Well, look at Julani now. Julani is killing the people and he's also a dictator. Why aren't you complaining about Julani? Why aren't you trying to overthrow Al-Julani? Why are you inviting him to the White House, shaking his hand and spraying perfume on him? I don't know, maybe they sprayed perfume on him because he probably smells like the goats that he used to, have sex with in Syria. But what is the double standards over here? If you're against the killing of innocent people and that's why you were probably against Assad, why aren't you complaining about Al-Julani? And if you're against extremism and Islamic extremism and women oppression in Iran, why aren't you complaining about that in Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia? So it's like they demonize who they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Al-Julani,
Go
he
ahead.
was the leader of the Al-Nusra Front. And now he goes in his birth name, Ahmed al-Shara. Could you please tell us about the Al-Nusra Front so we can get a grip of who he actually is and what kind of organization
look, to me,
the
when
Al-Nusra Front was? Could you please frame the Al-Nusra Front and also Al-Julani? Who is he and what is the cause of the Al-Nusra Front?
Okay. So like to me personally as a Syrian, I view Al-Nusra, Jabhat al-Nusra, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, I view them all as the same. They're all extremists, backwards, hairy baboons that the name might be different of the group, but they all share the same backward ideology. And Al-Julani or Ahmad al-Shara, this guy is an extremist terrorist. Everybody knows this. He was in Iraq. He was even jailed in Iraq. And then he came to Syria and joined Al-Nusra and he was fighting. This guy has a lot of blood on his hands. He was beheading people. He was cutting people's bodies. He was part of a group that were doing suicide bombs and throwing rockets on civilian areas. It's not like they were they were only attacking the Syrian army. They were attacking Syrian civilian areas. They have a lot of blood on their hands, and the majority of Syrians don't support him. No, like the majority of Syrians don't support him. But right now, I feel like the Syrian people are in a place that they are so sick and tired of more than 15 years of war that nobody even has the energy to fight anymore, And before Al-Julani took over, the Syrian economy was so bad in the point that people were fleeing, not only for security reasons, but for financial and economical reasons. Because going back to my point earlier, when I was saying the American government was funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda, when they also saw that didn't work, they started imposing economic sanctions on the country. So as Syrians, we were no longer able to have import. We were no longer to have export. We were no longer to do business outside. Countries were not allowed to do business in Syria. International payments were not allowed. So they were suffocating us economically that by the time Assad got overthrown, the Syrian economy had gone so bad and everything has become so expensive that the Syrian people no longer care if is it Assad or is it Al-Julani. Like, we just need to breathe because we're no longer able to survive. We're no longer able to make ends meet. Like, I remember when I was living in Syria, I was working 3 jobs a month and that was not even enough. I was working 3 jobs. Like, I wouldn't even have to rest on a Sunday or on a Saturday. Because like I needed to make ends meet, I needed to take care of myself, I needed to take care of my family and my expenses and the bills and the rent. And the majority of Syrians, are like that. So when the West was like, this our plan is not working, they were like, let us impose heavy economic sanctions on this country to make the people's life a living hell, that they would accept whoever. And that's why, like, when Al-Jolani took over, people were celebrating. They were like, oh, we hopefully this is a promising future. Hopefully, maybe, after he stopped wearing Galabi and is wearing his James Bond suit, maybe this guy would change. But then nothing changed. Nothing changed. Al-Jolani, in my opinion, is a terrorist and is a puppet to America. And Syria no longer has its independence. Like now, Syria, when it comes to foreign policy, we don't have the power anymore to make our own policies, to make our own stand. Now, Al-Jolani is literally sitting in the Syrian presidential palace, whenever whatever happens, he'll wait for a call from America to tell him, listen, you do this, you do that, and Al-Jolani will be like, yes, sir. And that's what America always wants. America wants a president that is a puppet to them.
Excuse me for interrupting you, but he has promised that he will reinstate democracy. He has also promised that he will negotiate with Israel. And now you're laughing.
Do you actually believe
but I want
that?
you to... I didn't say that, but I'm quoting what he said and the official narrative. So your comments about his aim to, within 3 years, have democratic elections, and also about the relationship to Israel.
Yeah. See, like, to me, Jolani promising democracy is like a prostitute promising a one-way ticket to heaven, to see Jesus. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're a terrorist. You have a very backward, extremist Wahhabi ideology. So to come to me and tell me that, oh, we're going to give the people freedom and democracy, that is something very, very hard to believe. Because, look, at the end of the day, I have learned something about politics. Is like, look, I don't listen to what the politicians say. I look at what they do. And what I have witnessed so far since this guy has gotten in power, he has been killing and slaughtering the minorities. He's been oppressing the people. Look at, read about what happened to the Alawite massacre in the north, in Tartus and Latakia. They were literally killing people just for plainly being Alawites. Why? Because, Assad was an Alawite, so everybody that is an Alawite needs to be killed. Like, look at the kind of mentality that people are using. Like, you cannot paint everybody with the same brush. People are different. You have people that were Alawites that were against Assad, so why are you killing them? The next massacre happened with the Druze community in the south. They slaughtered thousands of Druze people, and there are many videos to prove it. And I did a lot of videos explaining the situation in Sweden. And like, bro, to the point that they would slaughter hundreds of Druze people, and then when those people were rushed to the hospitals, they would follow them to the hospitals and then make sure they all die, and they would kill the nurses and kill the doctors over there. And then they cut water on the city of Sweden for weeks. They cut electricity. They did an embargo on it. No one is allowed to enter. No one is allowed to leave. And they were treating the Druze community like they're animals. Same with the Christians. They would go to Christian churches and burn it. I don't know if you read about the suicide bomb that happened in Damaskus in one of the churches on a Sunday. It's like they waited until it is Sunday for them to know that, oh, now this is where all the Christians are gonna gather for the prayers. And then some guy just enters with a suicide like vest and enters the church, screams Allahu Akbar, and then does an explosion, kills I don't know how many. It's like crazy. And then the same thing with the Kurds. Like, now they have slaughtered the Kurds. So to tell me this guy is gonna promise the people democracy is crazy. And to look at how the Western leaders are treating Al-Jolani, how they are welcoming him to their presidential palace, taking pictures with him and selfies and doing dog faces and shaking his hands and giving him gifts and stuff. It is so cruel and it is so hypocritical that every person that is Syrian that is watching is like, what the hell is going on? How can you shake the hands of a terrorist? This motherfucker had a 50 million, what was it, 10 million or $50 million bounty on his head from the American government that they wanted to capture him. Suddenly now he's a hero and he's a brave person. And then when they were asking Donald Trump about him, Donald Trump was saying, oh yeah, we all have a tough past, and let us just put this behind us and, welcome a new start. It's like, bro, first of all, Al-Julani is not the rightful president of Syria because there was no election. The Syrian people did not vote for Al-Julani. Once Assad fled Syria, Al-Julani took over. Nobody voted for him. There was no election happening. And when he first took over, he said, I'm going to take over just for a couple of months it's like a temporary government until we decide to do an election and let the people choose. Then the next thing, the guy was like, oh, we won't be able to do an election until 2 years. It's like, bro, you want us to wait 2 years while you're in power for you to then sell the country and divide the country and kill all the people you want to do until we then do an election. So it is obviously all planned. He is a puppet that was placed by the US. The US doesn't care whether it's Al-Julani or whether it's whoever it is. As long as you are going to say yes to us, as long as you are going to see, when Al-Julani took over, the first thing that happened, Israel entered Syria. The first thing that is, and as Israel just keeps on expanding and expanding and expanding, it reached a point where I don't know how many meters away from Damascus, and they're shooting at Syrians and Al-Julani, not even one single bullet was shot at a occupier or invaders, But as soon as a minority Syrian speaks up, they will immediately start throwing rockets at them. But when a foreign country is invading your country and taking lands, you don't do anything. So it's like, it's very clear to us that you're a puppet and you're bought and owned, And me as a Syrian, I don't want to, I want a president that has his own leadership, that doesn't take his orders from any country. And just recently, yesterday, there was a new news that came out that.
But that's a little bit of.
One second. Yesterday, there was a news that Al-Julani told the Israeli government that, if you guys want to start striking Israel, you can start using the Syrian land to be. If you want to start striking Iran, you can use Syria land to be striking Iran from Syria. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you involving us now in attacking Iran? Why don't you focus on rebuilding the country and rebuilding the economy? And why are you now saying, oh, we're also going to attack the south of Lebanon to take to get rid of Hezbollah? Like, why are you now involving our Syrians in new wars? Focus on Syria. If you really care about the Syrians and you want to rebuild the country and rebuild the economy and give us democracy, then do that. Why are you now being the scapegoat of the Western countries?
But isn't this a common practice for the superpowers that they use proxies, and after a while they replace them with somebody else? So could this
Yes,
be
bro, look, everybody.
a way to stabilize the country and then get rid of him and then get another mock guy that is more, what should I say, clean? Clean.
Brother, America sells her partner more than a vegetable guy sells his carrots. Because look, Kurds were for the longest time American assets, and the Americans were protecting the Kurds. They were giving them money, weapons, obviously also being there to steal the oil in the land. And look, as soon as now America got Al-Julani, they sold the Kurds. They sold them. Where's the Kurdish army now? It's defeated. And for many years, the Americans were like, we are in Syria to protect the Kurds from the Assad government. Oh my God, the Kurds are just like a minority group. We care so much about their oil. I mean, we care so much about their safety and, but then look now, they sold them out. So like any group that like actually puts their trust in the American government is in for a disappointment later. They will use you as long as you are doing what they want you to do. And as soon as your role is over, they burn you out and they sell you out, just like they sold everybody out. So it's like, it's so funny. Like Arabs, it's like sometimes I feel like Arabs are smart, and at the same time I feel like they're very stupid because they just keep on falling to the same mistake. Because like, if you would just learn from history, you would know what's going on. Like if you just learn from what happened in Lebanon, what happened in Palestine, what happened in Iraq, what happened in Libya, what happened, like you should be able. You don't even need to be a rocket scientist for you to start seeing the pattern and seeing like, okay, these people are trustworthy and these people are not trustworthy. Like we just keep on falling into the same thing, and that's what the West want. They want us to stay stupid like that and divided.
We're going through some very big changes, not only in Middle East but also in Europe, where the divide between the United States and the EU countries are widening, and also the ambition of the United States to take Greenland into its possession has hurt a lot of the Scandinavian countries, not the least Sweden and of course Denmark, who has it within their realm. So I think that the awareness that the game that the United States play is for their own benefit and to almost all costs. But if you would roll the dice and make a prediction into the future, as you painted now, it's very bleak. You see any ray of light?
I mean, see, the thing is that right now I feel like the world is really waking up. Like there is a huge difference of like the population's awareness in politics and the dirty things that these politicians are doing compared to, let's say, the last 5 years. You know, even now, like with the whole Epstein files coming and like exposing all of these politicians, people are now, and with social media being around, like people are now way more aware than they were before, because like before people used to only take their news from the mainstream media, and whatever the mainstream media reports, that's what the people see. And if like different multiple channels repeat the same story, then people will be like, okay, then it must be true. But now with social media and like social media influencers, where they go out and they do live videos and stuff, it becomes very, very hard for the mainstream media to continue doing their own propaganda. I don't think that Trump is going to take Greenland. I don't think so. Like the European countries need to like all stand together, but I feel like they're all terrified and afraid of Trump. Let us all be real right here. Like Trump is like a gangster. He's really a gangster. I mean, look at what he did with Maduro. It's like he's very unpredictable. He does what he wants without even, usually like before a country even attacks a country or takes over a country, they would spend like maybe 6 months doing propaganda and demonizing until they get the majority of the people's support. Then they do that. With Trump, it's completely different. Trump will just wake up, he'll go and do it, and then after the fact, you just tell people, I did this, okay. And you'll be like, yeah, I did it to take the oil, like at least the previous presidents, they will always create this stupid lie. Oh, it's the children. Oh, it's the women. It's the minorities. It's blah, blah, blah. But with Trump, he's just like saying it exactly. I'm there to steal the land. I'm there to steal the oil. I'm there to take the money, But I feel like I don't think he'll take Greenland. I don't think he will. I think even Trump is mixing between, Greenland and Iceland. He was like, yeah, I want that land that is full of. He doesn't know that that's different, So,
But when I did my research on you, I looked at a lot of your videos on YouTube, and some of them are dated like 7-8 years back. And at that time, you were very critical about the Biden administration, and you criticized Obama and the liberals.
yeah,
And I could sense that you had a hope for Trump, but as you express
very
yourself
much.
now,
Not
that
anymore.
hope was Tell me about this shift, and tell me about the criticism of
So,
the
so
former government.
I'll tell you about my journey with this whole bullshit. So, when the war in Syria started, obviously, like when the war started in Syria, I was 18 years old. I wasn't really like interested in politics. When you're 18 years old, I'm just entering university. Like all the things I'm thinking about, I want to party. Oh, let's go meet some girls in the club and stuff. Like I was not someone that was interested in politics. But obviously, when you start living in a war zone and your country is in war and bombs are falling and the UK, France, and America are striking you, and you have ISIS and Al Qaeda and stuff, you can't help but educate yourself in politics, because you want to know like what's gonna happen to me and what's gonna happen to my family and so on. So I started like watching a lot of politics and like seeing. So then I saw that Obama is lying, and Obama is funding ISIS and funding Al Qaeda and doing all this stuff against my country. So then when the election in 2016 happened, I was looking at my options. I saw Hillary Clinton as the first option, and I saw Trump as the second option. And in my head, I was like, I want a change. I want the war in my country to stop. And I know for a fact, if Hillary Clinton takes over after Obama, nothing is going to change at all, because she was the Secretary of State back then, and she's just going to continue the same foreign policy that Obama was implementing. So then came Trump, who was an outsider, non-politician, and he was saying America first. we're not gonna start any wars. We're gonna withdraw our troops from the Middle East and so on, and we're just gonna focus, on grabbing women's pussy and like not attacking the Middle East. So like I was like, okay, you know what? This is something I would stand by. Like if this guy is gonna take over, as controversial as he is with his mean tweets, which I honestly don't really care for. Like I'm a comedian and I do politically incorrect jokes. So like saying mean jokes on Twitter was never a problem to me. So I was like, if this guy is going to stop the war in Syria and stop funding ISIS and Al Qaeda and withdraw his troops from Syria, I'm all for it. So then in 2016, when Trump became president, I was happy. I was like, yes, thank God and all of that. But then I felt like I think his first term was way much better than his second term, because in his first term there was like a CIA program that Obama was doing, which is a program made to train and arm ISIS in Syria. He actually put an end to it. And he stopped like funding ISIS and Al Qaeda in Syria. And if you look at the map in Syria from 2015 till 2018, you would find that in 2015 or 14, the majority of Syria was under the control of ISIS. And then 2 years after Trump became president, the majority of the Syrian land became under the control of Assad. So it doesn't mean that Trump was defeating ISIS. Trump just stopped funding and arming them. And that gave the time and opportunity for the Syrian army and the Russian army to make their attack and liberate all the cities from ISIS and Al Qaeda, for which to me was a very good thing. So I was happy about it and I was supporting it. And then they did that whole chemical weapon propaganda story, and then that was when he striked us, and that was when he just started gradually falling into the same old American foreign policy thing. And that's when I reached the realization that, what, when it comes to foreign policy in the United States, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, the foreign policy never changes. It's still the same shit. If you look at George Bush was a Republican. He attacked Afghanistan and Iraq. If you look at Obama, he was a Democrat. He attacked Syria and Libya. So
and kept
that whole
Guantanamo as
illusion,
well.
yeah. So that whole illusion of like, oh, the Democrats are different than the Republicans is like, bro, they can be different in the stupid little stuff like, policies on abortion and policies on like, immigration. But when it comes to foreign policy, war, it is the same exact foreign policy. Same exact foreign policy. It doesn't change, because I don't even think the American president is the person that actually controls the American foreign policy.
The deep state is very strong, and also, of course, the military-industrial complex.
Very,
And
very
the White
strong.
House.
And I even think that time when they tried to assassinate Donald Trump, when they shot his ears, that could have been very highly likely. That could have been like a warning, like, yo, you want us to elect you? You want us to put you back in power? Okay, but just remember that we can get you anytime we want. So now when you come back, we're going to attack Gaza. You better keep your mouth shut. We're going to start a war with Iran. You better keep your mouth shut. And after Iran, we're going to start a war with Russia, because that has always been the plan. This is a plan that has been on the table 15 years ago. They wanted to start with Iraq, then Libya, then Syria, Lebanon, Iran, and then they'll end it at Russia. And once now they defeat Iran, they're going to start a war with Russia. And once they do that, and if, let's say, they succeed, America will control the whole world completely. Like, there will no more be balance in the superpowers in the world.
Yeah, but then came China. The white helmets. Could you please give me
China, they know Kung Fu. Yeah.
Let's get to China in a while, but the white helmets, could you please put them in a context for me? What role did they play?
The white helmets are a bunch of liars. A bunch of liars. Like, they have been exposed so many times in Syria, and I even did a whole video exposing their lies. Bro, white helmets, they are doctors during the day and terrorists during the night. I don't know if you know this. Like, there have been many videos of them being exposed, because, bro, they are very, very like stupid at the same time. There's this video, like, they do fake videos of them rescuing kids under the rubble, where they would put children under the rubble. They would put makeup, put some like blood, like ketchup or whatever, and they'll be like, okay. So there was a video that exposed them where they had that situation, and then they went to the kid and they were like, okay, when I say 3, 2, 1, action, everybody starts screaming and running, and you start crying and all of that. So then they did that, and the videos in you can find the video on my page. Just go write Treka Z white helmet. You'll see the video that I'm talking about. And then in the video you would see 3, 2, 1, action. And then suddenly the kid is like and then they're carrying him and they're running with him and stuff. And they were so stupid that they forgot to crop the side of the video where it says 3, 2, 1, action. So then it got really viral in Syria that, oh my God, these guys are staging like events to kind of do a political thing, and there have been many videos where like you would find a jihadist holding like M16s and like weapons, wearing the white helmets costume. So it's like when they want to do a video propaganding saying, oh, we're saving the lives and we're saving the children, they'll do that whole video thing. And then after they're done, they remove their white helmet, vest, and cap. They go back to their 72 version costume, and then they go back to killing and slaughtering Syrian citizens. So a lot of people were fooled by the white helmet.
Yeah, it's a very, very cynical game that you describe here. And we were talking a little bit about the different actors. You had a long relationship with Russia on the Assad side, and also as Assad fled to Moscow.
Yeah.
Today we have the American fleet nearby Iran, and everybody's watching attentively if there will be an outbreak of war. Now Iran is allied with Russia and with China. Can you give us a point of view if you think that there will be a kinetic war?
There will be a war eventually. Israel is not going to just let this slide. Like, because even when the last time when they did the war between Israel and Iran, Trump was trying to make like a peace deal with Iran. So then when Israel saw like, oh my God, after a couple of days, Trump is going to meet with the Iranian president and maybe they might come to a diplomatic, solution. What did Israel do? Israel started throwing rockets at Iran to force America to join, when she saw that, okay, a peaceful deal might happen between these two through negotiations, and they're planning to do a meeting in a couple of days. They were like, no, this is not what we want. This is what do we do? What do we do? Let us just throw a rocket at Iran because we know Iran is going to fight back. And then they did that, and that's how they forced America to join the war. So I think Israel is going to continue pushing the Iranian buttons and trying their best to involve the United States, because there's a very high chance that if it is like one-on-one between like Iran and Israel, Iran might actually destroy Israel. So Israel needs America to be by her side to be able to defeat Iran. And going back to your question with Russia and China, I think Russia and China can support Iran by sending them weapons and like advanced like technology, rockets and so on. But I don't think if like an all-out war happen, Russia or China are going to involve their military in it. I don't think they would do that. I think the most that they can do is like maybe share some intelligence or sell them some advanced weapons, but they wouldn't involve themselves directly.
I hear you. But Iran is a very, very large country, both physically and also when it comes to population. So in order to beat Iran, that is a very, very difficult task. Of course, you can make a regime change by means of war. Is that what you think that they aim at?
I mean, listen, they're doing the same thing with Iran that they did with Syria and Venezuela. Like, they're now putting crippling economic sanctions that where people are reaching to the point where they're starving and they're not able to make ends meet, to the point that they don't even care about supporting the government anymore, because they're like, listen, fuck the government. I have a child that is sick. I'm not even able to import medicine from abroad to treat my child. I'm not able to feed my kids. I'm not able to get married. I'm not able to build my future. I'm not able to buy a house. I'm not able to support myself. So It's like these economic sanctions is like, in my own opinion, as someone who's lived in a country that went through that, it's even worse than like military war, because at least with military war, if you die in an instant. But with economic sanctions, they're killing you slowly, day after day. You're just the country is dying. It's like you're suffocating it from oxygen gradually, until you are going to reach to the breaking point of like, to you it doesn't even matter anymore, like whether this president in power you support or you don't support, because at the end of the day, our loyalty is gonna go back to our immediate family. When you are not able to live a prosperous life, you're not able to live a comfortable life, who gives a fuck who's in power anymore? You're not gonna care anymore. You're gonna be like, it's me and it's me against the world. So that's
When
what
you
they're doing
speak,
with Iran.
when you speak to people who still are in Syria, what do
Yeah.
they say? What are their, how is the daily situation for them? And then how do they
So
view the
people,
changes that you're going through?
and man, it's very unfortunate. It's like people are just managing. They're like, what can we do, man? It's been since 2011. We're in 2026. It's 15 years. I'm tired. Like I right now, I'm just trying to find a way to escape this place. Hopefully, maybe I can get a visa out of this country to another country where I can start working. It's like they have lost complete energy to fight. Like they've been through this thing for 15 years. Like imagine you're in a war zone for 15 years. Do you think you still have the energy to let us rebel? Like people want to, but they're afraid. Like you see a lot of videos of these Julani people that are just roaming the streets, holding weapons, harassing people. If a girl is wearing short skirts, they harass her. They go to like places that sell alcohol, and they suddenly break all the alcohol bottles and trash the club because it's haram. Why are you drinking alcohol? You should just drink camel piss like the president does, So it's like, it's just a very unfortunate situation where the Syrian people have reached the point where they're just like helpless, Like now, go to any Syrian living in Syria and tell them, listen, I'm gonna get you a visa to travel out to any country. They'll be like, bro, I agree. Let me just get the fuck out of this place, and hopefully maybe I can build a future for myself and my children. It's very
How
sad.
we, how, yeah, I understand. How were you able to make it out of Syria?
Man, I had to cross the Syrian-Lebanese border. And then from there, I traveled from Lebanon, because, the problem with even traveling out of Syria is that now the Syrian passport is very weak, that you can't even apply for a visa, because when the war started, all the embassies closed. And in order for you to have a visa, you need to apply at an embassy. So all the countries closed their embassies. So even if you wanted to travel out and all your paperwork are good, there is no embassy to apply for. So like you must find a way to leave the country, to go and apply for a visa outside the country in some countries' embassy. So it's
So
very,
you went
very,
to
very, very
Lebanon
like
to do it. Yeah. You went to
yeah, I
Lebanon
had to
in
cross.
order to,
Yeah,
yeah.
I went to Lebanon, and from Lebanon I came to Nigeria. So it's that was the only way. That was the only way out. Like if I want to apply to any country, there's no even embassies to go to, And if you're gonna apply online, they don't even like respond to you, because you need to be living in that country. It's like very difficult. It's very difficult.
There's a lot of Syrians that are displaced. I think you have the worst refugee situation in the world, actually. Over 12 million
Yeah,
from the
man. Yeah,
numbers I've
man.
read, and like 3 million living in Turkey. In Sweden, where I live, we have more than 160,000 that have arrived since
Yeah, yeah. In Germany
2011.
also, everywhere, everywhere, man. And like I'm telling you, like before, like you would never even hear about this, like before the war. Like Syrians love to live in Syria, and they were happy in Syria. I told you, Syria was the safest and cheapest country in the whole Middle East. When there was a war in Lebanon in 2006, hundreds of thousands of Lebanese flew to Syria for safety. When there was a war in Iraq, millions of Iraqis came to Syria for safety. Same with, like, Syria was known to be the country that welcomes a refugee because of how safe it was and how cheap. And the Syrian government like welcomed all like nationalities to their country, and like they made everything so easy for them. So it's unfortunate that all of these Syrians had to feel like, I'm sure they were forced to like I don't really judge anyone that like escaped the war, because at the end of the day, you know, when you have rockets falling on the city on a daily basis and your life is in danger, you're gonna think about like protecting your family, your children, your wife, your mother. Is like you're seeing that there's no future, there is no hope. ISIS and Al Qaeda's everywhere, and the country is unstable, the economy is bad, and it's like if I stay here, I'm always at risk of dying at any moment. Like me, I escaped death a couple of times while I was in Syria. I escaped death. Like it's just because of how lucky I was that I didn't get killed. You know, there was a time I was walking in the
Yeah, sure. Continue, please.
Yeah, there was a time where I was walking in the street. I was going to work, and then I took a left. And after I took a left, I walked for like 40 seconds, and then a rocket fell in the previous street that I was in. So like imagine if, let's say, I stopped to buy a pack of cigarettes or stopped to buy a bottle of water, and I just stayed 2 extra minutes in that same street, I would have died just like the rest of the people that died that day. Like when the rocket fell, I fell on the floor. The whole street was vibrating. I woke up to like screaming. I went back to the other road. I've just seen bodies on the floor. Women, children, old men. Bodies, a leg is there, a hand is there. Ambulances, people screaming, people crying. Like I was very lucky that day that I just decided to take a different road. If I just stayed in that same road, it could have possibly been me, and you wouldn't have been able to meet my hairiness today.
The situation in Europe, especially after the Arabic Spring, with a lot of refugees, has changed the political landscape, where people are becoming more and more right-wing and more nationalistic, and also more and more fed up with people from other cultures.
Yeah.
What is your take on that situation? I saw one of your videos on YouTube where you commented on the situation, and I had the impression
Are you
that
talking
your
about
take
like
was
the
that
immigration? Are you talking about the immigration situation in Europe and people complaining?
yes,
Okay, so this
that's
is
what I'm
this is
talking
my
about.
point. First of all, us as Syrians were very grateful for the European countries for welcoming us. But I feel like if you're a refugee in Europe and you've been, let's say, in Germany for 2-3 years now or more, and in this 2-3 years, like the government has given you a house, given you monthly salary, given you all of these benefits, and you've been in Germany for like 2-3 years and plus, till now you're still unemployed. You haven't learned the language. You haven't integrated or assimilated to the country. The government should send you back. You know, if you're in a European country as a refugee and you're causing trouble or committing crimes, they should also send you back, because you need to be very grateful to all of these countries that opened their doors and gave you a chance on a new, better life. So, in my opinion, there are many Syrians that went to Europe and they integrated. They were taking salary for the first maybe year, but then after that, they learned the language, they got a job, they stopped getting these benefits, they're working, they're paying taxes, they're contributing to the society, they're assimilating, they're not causing any crimes. I feel like these people, they deserve to stay with no issues and no one should complain. But on the other hand, if you've been there 3-4 years and you're coming with 16 fucking children and the government is paying salary for every single individual in your home, you're literally making 4,000-5,000 euros a month just from these benefits, and they're giving you a house and they're giving you salary and free healthcare and all of this stuff, and you're not learning the language yet, you're not working, and you're just sitting down just giving birth. I mean, like, yo, it's like, have some respect, bro. If the government sends them back, that is completely understandable. And if you're, like I said, committing crimes, harassing, blah, 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 also they should send them back. They should have no tolerance to any criminal, you know, because at the same time, there's also an issue that some people don't know. You know, when the refugee crisis happened in Europe, there were a lot of non-Syrians that traveled to Europe and claimed to be Syrian citizens when they were not. So there were a lot of people that were from Libya and Afghanistan and India and Somalia. They went to Germany, for an example, and they were like, oh, we are Syrian refugees running away from the Syrian government and they're killing us and blah, 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 blah. And then when the government would ask them, okay, so can you just like provide us with your passport or ID? And they're like, it got destroyed in the war. Assad bombed it. Assad came to my house and bombed my passport just so that I cannot prove to you that I'm actually Syrian. So there is a huge amount of like refugees that went to Europe that were not even Syrians, but they claimed to be Syrians to get all of these benefits. There was even a video in one of the refugee camps in Germany. My friend, Syrian, he was like taking the video, sending it to me. It's like it's a black guy. It's a black guy from like Somalia or Sudan, I forgot. And then the Syrians were like doing a video with him, like they were actually trolling. They were like, "So where are you from?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm from Syria." They were like, "Where in Syria?" "From Damaskus." I was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know Syrians had the tan. That's crazy, bro." You know? So you had all of these people that were claiming to be Syrian refugees when they are not. So that is my
And
point. And look, at the end of the
yeah,
day, it is the European people's country, and it is their right to voice their opinion, whether they are for or against this immigration stuff. I think they should do a vote on it, and whatever the people choose, then that's what should happen. If you see that these majority of these people are contributing to the economy and making things better, then yes, they should stay. If not, then all the people that are not following the law, not assimilating, should be kicked out. Full stop. Like as easy as it is. There's nothing racist about it.
uh, we have a great debate about these things in Sweden, who's been one of the countries in proportion that has taken in a lot of people from these different war torn areas. When I looked at
Yeah.
your videos, and just to reinstate that you use comedy when you put forward the inconsistencies that you see. You also had a lot of criticism about the wokeism and the liberalism as it is currently being portrayed, not the least
Yeah.
in the States. Could you please give me your point of view? What is it in the wokeism and liberalism that you don't
From
like?
my point of view, it is this, like, I am living in Syria. My point of view is this: I am living in Syria. I'm living in a war zone. Life is terrible. Rockets falling, people dying, beheading, terrorism, blah 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 blah. And like I'm among all of these people that are going through like serious problems. And then suddenly you see videos of liberals, whether it's in Europe or in America, and they're crying about like the most ridiculous stuff. Like, "Oh my God, I identify as a flower, and he called me with the wrong pronouns. I wanted my pronouns to be they, them, but then he's calling me he, him. Oh, I'm crying." And I'm looking like, is this really what you're crying about? Like, come to Syria, come and see what real issues are. Then you would be more grateful about your life. What you're seriously crying because somebody called you a different pronoun is like, bro, wake up. Like, we can all see your Adam's apple and your jawline. You're obviously a dude just wearing a dress, and that's fine. But like, for you to be crying that people are misgendering you, it's kind of ridiculous when you want to compare it to, real life issues where somebody is missing a leg, his son just got killed, his mother just got bombed and stuff. So it's like, I just make fun of these like Gen Z generation, because like I feel like they're so spoiled that they have no sense of the real world, and like anything is triggering. If like somebody writes a tweet of like an opinion that they disagree with, suddenly they're crying. They want safe spaces, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't feel with my God." Is like, bro, what the hell are you doing? It's like you're a grown ass man. Like, act like it. So it's just like I make fun of it because to me I just view it as really ridiculous and funny. So
Is
yeah.
it a cultural decline of the West, or is it just a fluke? Is
Oh,
it just a trend?
that quote that says, good times create weak men and difficult times create strong men. So I feel like maybe in the
Yeah.
West, they've had it so good, so much, and that they have no real issues, that they're like, so what do I complain about? What do I complain about? Like, what? Oh yeah, I wore a dress and they didn't allow me to enter the women's bathroom. Ha 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 ha! And they do a video. It's like you don't really have real problems, that you start creating problems just to feel like some kind of importance, because like it's like, what are you really crying about? Pronouns, words that are offensive. Go and talk to your grandparents that were in World War II and stuff. look at, they were like strong men, you know. And in this world, you need to be a strong man if you're going to survive, because this world is not flowers and rainbows. This is a cruel world, and if you're not ready and equipped mentally and physically, you will get eaten alive, you know. It's like the quote that tells you, I would rather be, you know, a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So it's like, get your shit together and have some thick skin, because if what you're afraid of is words and people offending you, it's like, man, how are you going to raise children, you know? So it's just like that. That's like, it's just like we see it as really silly and ridiculous.
And for you that live in Nigeria today, could you please
Yeah.
give me a picture of how is it for you being in as an Arab in Nigeria? Are people kind to you? You have faced any problems with being a foreigner
I mean, look,
in Nigeria?
Nigeria is not a safe country. It's also a very dangerous country, and there are issues in Nigeria. But the good thing with me is that I was raised in Nigeria, so I'm a Niger boy. I'm a Nigerian boy, basically, and I understand the country. I understand the language. I understand the people. I'm a tough guy. Like, I'm not a softie. So like, Nigerians are afraid of me. I'm not afraid of Nigerians. So. You know,
You're
but
making
it's
trouble everywhere.
exactly,
Now you made trouble
yeah, yeah.
in Syria. Now you're making
I mean,
trouble in
I,
Nigeria.
yeah, I mean, it's a deadly combination. A Syrian that was in the war in Syria, and also a Syrian that grew up in Nigeria. It's a deadly combination. It's like, how can you fuck with that? You know? So yeah, like, I have nothing to really complain about in Nigeria. I'm happy.
Which
Uh,
city are you in? Are you in Abuja or Lagos or what?
Lagos,
Lagos. Yeah. Yeah.
Lagos. Yeah, yeah. Mhm. So yeah, like I'm like, Nigeria has its own problem, like huge corruption, bad roads, no bad electricity, police stop you just to ask for money, and they have like this perception that if you're white, then you're a trillionaire. You know, they think everybody that is white in Nigeria is a trillionaire. You know, so there's always that. But I think because I was raised here, like, to me, I'm used to all of that, so I'm not really complaining. I think maybe if, let's say, you lived all your life in Dubai, for an example, and you came to live in Nigeria, you're gonna find it very hard to, like, you know, assimilate. But in my situation, it's different. So I'm good, man.
So are you gonna stay in Nigeria for the rest of your life or foreseeable future?
I mean, I'm not a tree. I'm hoping to travel to Europe, see the world. Like, I've never been to Europe in my life. I've never been to the West. Like, I would like to, you know, see other countries, to learn other cultures, and you never know where this life takes you. You know. So I'm just living in the moment, going with the flow, and I feel like wherever life puts me, I'm gonna be standing. So looking forward for whatever the future holds. So I don't know, you
Sure.
might see me come to Sweden one day, you know, start singing ABBA
Definitely. And
karaoke
if
songs,
you
and, you know, become famous.
yeah, and if you do, you have to contact us. Absolutely. Could you
Yeah,
just
man.
tell our audience how to get hold of you on the social media?
So you can find me in pornhub.com. No, I'm joking. So you can find me on, like, Facebook, Instagram, to like, all social media platforms. My name is Treka Z. So you can find my videos on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. You can follow my page. Like, you will find politics, comedy, music, cat videos. It's like very, very diverse, my content. So it's not all the same kind of content. And I also have a website called trekazone.com, www.trekazone.com. It's also like my merch store. If people want to, like, support me, they can, like, donate there, or they can buy merch, sweaters, t-shirts, cups. And soon I'm going to be opening an OnlyFans, you know, maybe pictures of feet. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, those, those are the places you can find me. And I'm happy to have more Swedish fans. And also looking forward
Yeah.
to maybe doing another interview with you in the future. You know, maybe we can be talking about the more updates of, like,
Yeah,
the news,
definitely.
because it's been very, very, it's been enjoyable having the conversation with you.
Yeah, and I learned a lot because, from our vantage point at Zeitgeist Sweden, we want to hear from people that have been on the ground amongst the ordinary people, not to have the story, the narrative that comes from
Yeah. And it's always
these
better to talk to
agencies.
like the citizens, to ask citizens than to ask like people that work for the government or work for the, other side. When you ask like a citizen who has nothing to do and is neutral and is just, explaining what happened from his own, first-hand experience, you kind of get a more honest picture than if you're asking somebody that is representing the government or representing the people opposing the government. So that's that, my friend.
It's been a lovely hour speaking to you. What would you like to have as a send-off message?
Well, I would like to just tell everyone, keep your eyes open. Don't let the government fool you. Do your own research. That's the most important thing. Don't just blindly believe what the mainstream media says, because they're all politicized. They're all working for a side. Like even if, let's say, the United States, we all know like Fox News works for the Republicans and CNN works for the Democrats. So people are slowly backing out from the mainstream media and try to follow more, independent journalists and activists and influencers, because these people have way much more credibility than these politicians and these mainstream media channels.
So keep your energy up. I've enjoyed doing my research on you, and I have a few really, what should I say, insightful and funny jokes and like stand-up sketches. Keep it up, and let's pray for Syria and that they resolve
Thank you.
this problem.
And for the world.
It's and for the world. Thank you very much, Treka Z, and say
Thank you,
hi
brother.
to my African brothers. Thank you.
Far away from comedy, it's time to talk about this human tragedy. Are you ready? Living in Damaskus city, where the life is shitty, where the girls are pretty, and my life's a pity, where life is tough and rough, and I've had enough of seeing my nation go through the situation. 10 years of war and I can't take it no more. My future is blur. Will I die poor, or will I be free from this misery? It's still a mystery. If you ask me now, war zone is where I fucking live, where bombs fall daily like it's fucking raining. I'm blaming politics and religion. I would fly and shit on both if I was a pigeon. Listen, I hope the song blows up like a suicide bomber funded by Obama. Trauma is what we had to go through. To all the warmongers out there, fuck you. Living in Damaskus city, where the life is shitty, where the girls are pretty, and my life's a pity, where life is tough and rough, and I've had enough of seeing my nation go through the situation. 10 years of war and I can't take it no more. My future is blur. Will I die poor, or will I be free from this misery? It's still a mystery if you ask me. We got ISIS army, Qaeda army, Nusra army, Hezbollah army, Kurdish army, Turkish army, Russian army, American army. Will they harm me? I don't know. Will they kill me? I don't know. Will I find a way out of this shit show? I hope so. On top of that, we got economic sanctions, so no embassies and no companies and no nothing coming from the overseas. They wanna see us on our knees while we live in unease. Unemployment rate is higher than Snoop Dogg. It's very hard to find a good paying job. Every Syrian has to work 2 to 3 jobs. The salaries are low while the prices are high. Did I mention you can't even make money online? Cause MasterCard and PayPal for a Syrian is a crime. So no matter how hard the poor Syrian tries, he'll either live his life broke or get lucky and die. Say what? Say what? Say what? He'll either live his life broke or get lucky and die. Say what? Say what? Say what? He'll either live his life broke or get lucky and die. Say what? Say what? Say what? Say what? He'll either live his life broke or get lucky and die. Say what? Say what? He'll either live his life broke. I'm gonna leave this place one way or another. Although I'm gonna miss my parents, friends and brother, but I'll be back just like the Terminator. But something tells me I was destined for something greater. I don't wanna waste my life in this prison. It's time I get my life together and make a decision with precision and find a way out. With a little help and luck it's gonna work out. I'd rather be ambitious than stay in this vicious cycle that has been nothing but malicious.
A man with a dream that is on a mission. Nothing can distract me from my tunnel vision. It's Treka.
You better remember the name. You're gonna witness what I'm about to do to this game. I'm gonna make the world come hear my voice, because dying for free will never be my choice. Living in Damaskus city where the life is shitty, where the girls are pretty and my life's a pity, where life is tough and rough and I've had enough of seeing my nation go through the situation. 10 years of war and I can't take it no more. My future is blur. Will I die poor or will I be free from this misery? It's really up to me if you ask me.